Greetings, everyone, and welcome to Wake Up Wednesday Eve. Yeah, it's nighttime again, the night before Wake Up Wednesday. Got a busy day tomorrow, so I have to get this recorded a little bit early for your benefit. And that word benefit's going to be popping up a little bit later in the talk today, so listen in, keep listening. What are we talking about? Well, Wake Up Wednesday we dedicate to looking at our epistle lesson for the day. And this coming Sunday, we happen to be reading an entire book of the Bible. Yep, the whole book of Philemon in the New Testament. Very short. It's only 25 verses or so long. That's it. So we're going to read almost the entire thing. Just the last couple of verses we skip for our purposes. But this is a letter that Paul is writing to his friend Philemon, someone whom he had converted to the Christian faith in one of his visits, probably to Colossae, because that seems to be where this letter is headed. And he's talking about some guy named Onesimus. This guy happens to be a slave. A slave of Philemon? Yep, a slave of Philemon, who had either escaped or had been kind of chased out of the household in a fit of rage. We don't know what exactly happened, but something not so good had happened between the two. Maybe he was in charge of some of the financial affairs for Philemon and messed up and lost his boss some money. Or did he steal something and then try to escape? We just don't know what it is. But as time went along, Onesimus found his way to Paul. He probably remembered Paul from his time back there in Colossae. And Paul now was in prison, house arrest type of prison. So Onesimus kind of became his go-to guy to do this and that for him while he was stuck in his house. All right, so that's the background of this. Now Paul is literally begging Philemon to free Onesimus, make him a free man. And why is he doing that? Because he said, things have changed. Onesimus has become my child in Christ. He is now a Christian. He is your brother in Christ, Philemon. You need to do the right thing, and that is treat him that way and allow him to go free and allow him to come back to me. I'm sending him to you with this letter because I don't want to do anything behind your back. And I want you to do it willingly, not being coerced. Although we do see Paul kind of twisting his arm just a wee little bit toward the end of the letter when he said, hey, if he's wronged you in any way, I'll repay you. But I won't even talk about you owing me anything. What do you mean? Yeah, Paul basically is saying, you owe me your very life because I helped to bring you to Christ. So come on, just do this for me. Just do this one little thing for me and free Onesimus. He is our brother in Christ. And now, the form of the letter that he sent is a very personal one, but it's also put together in the way that it was meant to be read in a public atmosphere, probably the church there in Colossae. And I think what the Apostle Paul really wants to do is not only get this freedom for Onesimus, allow him to become a free man, but also to say that, hey, it's time for the rubber to hit the road. We talk about reconciliation. We talk about being one in Christ. There is neither Jew nor Greek or free nor slave or male nor female. No, we're all one in Christ. So we need to be reconciled to one another, even as God has reconciled us to himself in Christ. So how do we do that? We do it by living it. So please, Philemon, set Onesimus free. As you look through this letter, there's a couple interesting things going on here. One, the name Onesimus for the slave, very common name back in that day, and it probably was a name that was used to kind of bolster that person up just a little bit, because it literally means in the Greek useful. Okay? Useful. Paul uses that throughout his letter because he says, formerly he was useless to you, but now indeed he's useful to both you and me. Yeah, he's talking about that, and he goes and talks about that a little bit later too. But so he kind of uses that to kind of tie this whole letter together. The word useful, useless, Onesimus, meaning useful. But look at the very end. Remember at the beginning of our little chat here, I said, remember that word benefit? Yeah, it shows up in here. Yes, brother, this is Paul speaking to Philemon. Let me have this benefit from you in the Lord. Refresh my heart in Christ. What benefit is he talking about? He's talking about Onesimus, because the word benefit in Greek is onesimai. Onesimus. It's basically the same word in Greek. Ha! Paul's just great at that. He's a very astute literary person, and he knows his grammar. So he puts that in this letter as well. So it is a great letter. It's telling us that we need to walk our talk. We need to put our theology to work in our daily lives. And in this letter, he's begging his friend Philemon, whom he had led into the Christian life, to let his faith in Jesus, in God, now spill out into his cultural life as well. And to realize that Onesimus and he are one in Christ. There's not one of them better than the other. They are brothers in Christ. So, Philemon, do the right thing. Free him from his slavery. Okay, well, that's one way to look at this letter. It's kind of strange that we have that as part of our scriptures, right? Especially when we have all these other writings that are so chock full of sometimes difficult theological concepts. But this one really puts it right into the whole realm of what we go through in our daily lives. And for the people back then, it's all about how do we deal with this whole slavery issue that surrounds us, that's accepted in virtually every culture at that time. But is it for us? And the Apostle Paul, even though he doesn't come out directly and saying slavery is no good, he's giving some hints that in Christ there is no slavery, there's neither slave nor free. We are one in Christ. We have been reconciled to one another. God's blessings be with you as you wake up on this Wednesday.